Yeah, okay, I'll cover it. If you don't turn down the Class A narcotics from the pusher, you are very much going against the number 5 peaking hit song that the cast sung. You don't care about Zamo's woe in that arcade toilet, and most importantly, how Nancy Reagan met everyone involved in that storyline. And you've killed Digital Gonch, who up until now was a happy-go-lucky Arthur Daly as a child comedic figure with no interest in drugs. You monster. Yes, I have to get that covered right at the start because everyone who knows this game knows that this one scene is the most important bit of it, and it's been covered by better content creators on YouTube already. I don't really want to talk about it too much, yet I've started my video off with it. That's a very inconsistent message, I'm sure you'll agree. But as it's a Spectrum game based on a TV show, I do have to traipse this well-trodden path to have this complete list, and I do have to mention this bit, which has now taken up well over a minute of the recording, which will be the longest segment of it. I've actually, by trying to not talk about the drug dealer bit, turned it into a longer bit about that, and now I'm just waffling. But scag needles are just the tip of the danger that faces the pupils of this North London comprehensive school. Yes, there's far more dangers, and we will get to them in a bit. Grange Hill was the brainchild of Liverpudlian screenwriter and producer Phil Redmond, who also created the now defunct soap Brookside and the still going soap Hollyoaks. Last time I watched Hollyoaks, its cast was nearly exclusively young blonde models. Can't think why that's still going. Grange Hill ran from 1978 until 2008 on the BBC and was unflinching in its gritty portrayal of a rough London secondary. Redmond had several meetings with the heads of Children's BBC about it going a bit too far in its controversial themes. It's worth noting that most other school-based dramas for kids were generally pretty idealised, with maybe a dodgy bully here and there. Grange Hill had no time for such pussyfooting around, though, as well as the most infamous incident, that of course being Zamo's run-in with Mr. Brownstone. The show dealt with fatal bullying, suicide, racism, the dangers of fiberglass, fires, rape, and featured and normalised people with disabilities. It sounds like I'm roping in normalising people with disabilities in with loads of bad things. I'm keen to point out that that's not true, and I want to go on record to say that I don't hate people with disabilities. That Grange Hill had the front and the bravery to confront these issues is very good for society. These were all real issues. It was good that the show wasn't afraid to show them just after, say, Willy Fogg or Dogtanian or Thundercats. Was Dogtanian on ITV actually? I'm not sure. If it gets kids talking though, or thinking about these issues, that's a good thing indeed, isn't it? Grange Hill's heyday was in the 80s, and so we shouldn't be massively surprised that a computer game existed of it, when most TV shows had a game on 8-bit computers. We're on episode 75 at this point, let's not forget. It was released on the 8-bit formats by Argus Software, the publishing house behind Chubby Gristle and the gloriously titled Peter Shilton's Handball Maradona, and they would eventually go on to become Grand Slam and release games like Thunderbirds and the Flintstones. It was programmed by Binary Design, who made the previously covered Star Wars Droids and Bob's Full House. In the game, you control Gonch, the wily, opportunistic wheeler-dealer comedy relief of the series. Gonch was one of the show's best and most beloved characters, a youthful ginger amalgam of popular adult telly characters and chances like Del Boy off Only Fools and Horses and Minder's Arthur Daly. He was often accompanied by his version of Rodney or Terry McGann, that being the loyal yet often mistreated Hollow, who follows Gonch in this game, when he pissing wants. The storyline is a sort of mirror of Gonch's first storyline appearance in the TV show, when he had his rather flashy Walkman confiscated by the school. Rather than face the wrath of his mother for losing this important and still very up-to-date form of electronic entertainment, Gonch persuades Hollow to accompany him in a daring raid on the school grounds to sequester his beloved item back before midnight. Therein follows a graphical side-view flick-screen adventure rendered wonderfully in black and cyan with a map that is incredibly confusing.
Which was the style at the time? No!
The puzzles generally make sense, which is a bonus, with objects generally having a logical use based on what they do. The menu controls, not so logical. They're a mixture of selectable menus and text inputs, which is a bit of a garbled mess at the best of times, particularly when engaging in conversations. You'll be having a lot of conversations with Hollow, who tends to get very bored and tired traversing over 3 whole screens, which is about 20 foot. Keep up, you short, blonde nincompoop. Come on. Still, with all the rooftop scurrying and telephone box climbing involved, with just getting to the schoolyard, you can probably understand why Hollow's such a lazy bastard. Another issue with the menu controls is that caps shift +1 is used to exit the menu, which is fine after a while, but it's an incredibly irritating combo to remember when one key would ultimately suffice. Another interesting quirk of the fictional borough of Northam is that nearly everything can instantly kill you, not just heroin. I'm pretty sure if the series had continued another 10 years, it probably would have addressed these fascinating social issues and problems, such as the fatalistic nature of completely stationary false teeth and a slightly raised paving slab that is just outside Grange's house that, when you walk into it, can kill your copperhead entrepreneur unless he vaults over it. Mind you, his vault is pretty good. You know, for someone that's so incredibly brittle, the boy can certainly leap. I think he needs to get himself into that long jump team at Grange Hill, don't you, Luke Gonch Gardner? Still, what an incredibly dangerous area of London Northam appears to be. The quick, sharp deaths to small dogs and canal dipping are a hindrance to this game, unfortunately. There's no save feature. Well, there is if you emulate it like I am, but not on your 1987 ferric tapes, giving the game an extra level of arbitrary challenge that worsens the experience. It's challenging enough without this mechanic. Thanks very much. The graphics are pretty average, with rigid animations for our 2 lead characters, who are sort of kinda recognisable monochrome interpretations. If you squint a little bit, maybe a lot, okay, you might actually need to rewire your eyes and then pretend that they look like the characters they are. Overall, if I was grading Grange Hill as a teacher, it would be a C- bordering on a D. School days and back to school are far better swat-em-ups, deserving of an A star. And, get this, you can even change the names of the characters in those games if you wish to match your favourite Grange Hill alumni, if you so wish. It's sort of like an 8-bit Spectrum version of Pro Evolution Soccer, but with pencils and school ties. Reviews were mixed for Grange Hill. Crash gave it a 70% overall in their May 1987 issue, stating that it's an interesting theme and in some ways interesting to play, but ultimately it is fundamentally flawed. Your Sinclair gave Grange Hill a 6 out of 10 in their May 1987 issue, saying, "Are we going to see Gonch trying to flog copies of Grange Hill in the playground? Well, if he can put them out at half price, he might get a chance, but at $9.95, he'll get a knuckle sandwich." I miss the word knuckle sandwich. Well, 2 words, knuckle sandwich. Sinclair user gave it a 4 out of 5 in their April issue, the highest score yet. They put it to you that it's a curious mixture of adventure and arcade game. Some good puzzles should give it some appeal. Next on the school dinner menu, well, let's stick with education, just of a slightly younger standard. Episode 76 stops at the Y bird stop and play days. Yes, that was the bird that just kept going, why? That was irritating at the time. Then we discovered that all our children would do it too. Like, subscribe, and K thanks, bye.